Hi, this is Aurora. I'm the founder of aurora.tent.com, and we're going to talk about the moon time mysteries. Why do women bleed on the moon that they bleed on? And why do women's blood times switch? Why does a woman bleed on the full moon? Why does a woman bleed on the new moon? Are we supposed to bleed on the new moon? What are all the philosophies? So I get this question all the time. And I think it stemmed from the fact that we are told in our society, we're told that our blood is supposed to be the same time every month. That it's not supposed to switch. And it's confusing for women when it does. There's also a lot of mythology out there that says that women bleed on the new moon. But what about every woman who bleeds on the full moon? What does that mean for her? So in this talk, or this recording, we're going to talk about that and flesh that out. First, I'd like to talk a little bit about me and how I came to my theories and my philosophies. I also want to give you my disclaimer before we even do that, for you to ground into your own body and connect to your womb wisdom around everything that I'm saying. Because I've come up with my theories and philosophies from hosting the Red Tent for 6 years, every month, and asking women about their blood time, asking them where they're at, if they've been shifting. But the only truth is the truth that you feel is true in your body. So as I tell you the different myths and explanations, feel what's right for you. But back to me, yes, I've been hosting the Red Tent, and every Red Tent, the women share where they're at on their blood time. And I have been using this as my own oracle for the collective. I don't really need to look at horoscopes or, astrology. I mean, I do, but I don't have to, in that I can really just track women's blood times and know if there are major shifts occurring. All women are connected to each other. When we come to the Red Tent, women will begin to bleed together every new moon. Of course, it's more complicated than that. And when the women come to the Red Tent and I share with them the moon time mysteries, a lot of times they'll be like, because a lot of them are full moon bleeders. There is no right or wrong to when you bleed. I want to put that out there first. I believe that when your body bleeds, it's perfect. It's exactly when you're meant to bleed. Even if you're bleeding every 20 days, your body is aligning to something. And when I say that all women are connected, I personally believe that all women are connected to a womb grid. Yes. I mean, it's an explanation for why when women come together, we start to bleed together. We start to sync up. The idea with why women bleed on the new moon is actually because there is a theory that women are connected, their moon time, their blood time is connected to the amount of light in the sky. And actually there is a charting system called Lunaception where you can actually reprogram your body by making it dark certain times of the month and making your room light when you sleep certain times of the month to help program your body to sync up to new moon, full moon cycles, because your body is linked to the amount of light in the sky. Of course, it is more complex than that, and I think this is such a symbolism because women are constantly trying to control their cycles, whether it's control their fertility, and we do have control, but to a point. Women are cyclical and flowing, and it's part of our nature to just be able to surrender and trust, because we're connected to more than just our own, personal mission. Actually, the mysteries say that women are connected to the everything, which is another reason why we're all connected to each other. The mysteries say that women hold men, women, children. Our womb energy is constantly wanting to hold and nurture everyone. And with this womb grid in which all women are connected, we are the first to receive information for the collective. That's where we get that ting of woman's intuition. And so when there are massive shifts, astrologically, cosmically, all women will shift. So that's why I said, I track women's cycles, because they will all shift And I know this, I mean, I would go on Facebook and I'd ask people, so where are you at? And I mean, 50, 60 comments of women telling me where they're at on their cycles to prove my theories. But of course, connect to your own womb wisdom on that one. But I think it's important for us to understand how potent our womb actually is. And since we're holding that energy all month, that's also the sacredness of blood time. When you allow yourself to bleed, it's like that one time a month where women come back to themselves and they let it all go. They also say that we're hyper-psychic right before our blood time, and this has to do also with how we're all connected to each other and the information we're receiving right before we bleed. But now that I explained, bleeding on the new moon because the amount of light in the sky, but also bleeding on the new moon because it is a symbolism of the collective death, the new moon. When the moon is in its dark phase, our body's in the dark phase, our body's in the shed. When the moon is in ovulation space or in its full space, then we're in our ovulation space. And that's just being in connection with the rhythms, with the tides, with the cycles, being in alignment with it all. But again, there are reasons why women are bleeding on the full moon for many reasons, and it's not disempowering. There is one philosophy that says that women who are bleeding on the full moon are so connected to everyone that it is their role to be a full moon bleeder for the collective until all women are back in understanding their cyclical rhythms and healed. That's just one explanation, but there's also the explanation, which is a very common explanation, that they say that women who bleed on the full moon they're birthing creative projects in their lives. And they're using that energy to birth creative projects that need to go outward. Whereas when you bleed on the new moon, it's all very inward, very internal, and you're a space where you're able to, if you're ovulating on the full moon, you're going to birth a baby. You're in that phase of your life. But if you're bleeding on the full moon, then you're not birthing a baby, you're birthing yourself, you're birthing your creativity, you're going outward. Miranda Gray, she is a woman of the menstrual blood mysteries. She's a writer, and she calls women who bleed on the full moon the red moon bleeders, and for that exact same reason. And the white moon bleeders, she calls them the good mothers. The white moon bleeders, that you are bleeding for birthing a baby for the other. But the red moon bleeder, you're that independent woman who right now in your life, you're birthing yourself, you're birthing your projects. And both aspects are aspects of woman, no better, no worse, but they're just different aspects of ourself. It's funny because at my red tents, I actually get a lot of full moon bleeders. And yes, by coming to the red tent every month, you can start bleeding every new moon because we all come together, we do some deep sheds, and it will trigger your blood time. But at the same time, again, women are anchored sometimes to certain moons. And, I think about that, also the type of woman that I attract, very independent, birthing your projects kind of women. And also the fact that, even though our red tent is a very cushy space, when you're in your own blood time, sometimes you don't want to go to a group gathering with women. You kind of want to be on your own and you want to nurture yourself. And so it makes sense that there are a lot of full moon bleeders who come to our new moon red tent. Again, to be clear, the reason why we have a red tent on the new moon is to honor the collective cycle. And there are benefits to aligning yourself to a new moon blood full moon ovulation cycle. One of them is easier time charting your fertility. They actually say that when you are when you're bleeding on the new moon and ovulating on the full moon, because you're in alignment with all collective cycles, it's clear. You're very clear when you're fertile and when you're not. But let's say you're swapped and you are bleeding on the full moon but ovulating on the new moon. Well, you actually have potential of ovulating twice a month. They actually say that you can be fertile on the full moon because it's a potent full moon even though you're in your blood time. Does that make sense? It's because we're all connected and we're also sensitive to collective energies. If it's such a fertile time outside but you're in your death phase, it can create confusion in your natural planning method, which is a reason I've always told women to be really clear with their bodies and ask their bodies where they're at if they're only charting the cycle by the natural planning method. So what is my conclusion? My conclusion for you who are trying to understand, why you bleed on the full moon, why you have to bleed on the new moon, I say honor yourself wherever it is that you're bleeding, and use your blood time as an oracle to understanding who you are and where you're at, and always just honor yourself as a potent channel and vessel, and I love you. If you'd like more information, please join us on ourredtent.com.